Let's go, girls.
We wanted to highlight an incredible story. It is called Women Talking Football. That's the name of the program. But we wanted to highlight an article written by our very own Carter Yates. Carter's story, and I'm not going to give too much of it away because I want you to go to texasfootball.com and read the article. But Carter's story, it tells the story of Lexi Brooks. She became the first DFO in Central Texas. He highlights multiple other DFOs. So that's Director of Football Operations. In his story, he highlights Callie Cam, who is now in the college ranks, Sapphire Cervantes, who is now moving over to Mesquite, Sierra Bernard, who's in Bay City. And obviously there are so many women in both high school and college making an impact, not only in the Director of Football realm, in recruiting realms, in media, in all of that. We're just focusing on the women that Carter put on his story today to highlight a couple of those. But I thought this quote from Lexi Brooks was really cool. There are so many other coaches' daughters and other girls out there who love the game, but what avenue is there for them? That's kind of a peek into what the story is about.
Well, and another portion of this article that I thought was super interesting was what DFOs actually do. Now, I think that depends on which school you're at, what your title kind of entails, but especially for Lexi Brooks, this is what her role as a DFO kind of entailed. It said tracking team academic performance and behavior, sending prospect sheets for college recruitment, and controlling all game day logistics from pregame meals to sideline passes. And of course, it kind of varies between person, but it looks like Sapphire's role. It said she will organize fundraising and team events, managing Mesquite's recruiting website and updating huddles and player bios and running the team's social media, basically allowing coaches to do their job, right? Taking that off their plate. Because another portion I thought was really interesting was in order to hire a DFO, you must sacrifice an assistant coaching spot, which is huge. So one, congrats to Sapphire for getting this role. I think that says a lot about her and her work ethic. But I mean, you're taking another coach's spot, but it's also taking stuff off their plate as well. So these coaches can just focus on coaching, and you have a whole separate role to do the recruiting stuff and the outside noise stuff.
Yeah, and I think something else to kind of put down into a fundamental basis for anybody who doesn't know, a DFO, a Director of Football Operations job, has been around for a long time in college football. As we know, coaches, programs, it kind of mirrors each other. The trickle-down effect starts to happen, specifically from an NFL moment to a NCAA moment, and then down into the high school realm. And the thing about it is, in college, it's been around for a long time. There have been some women that have had it. There have been a ton of men that have had this position. And it's not the fact that a man in high school couldn't go and have this position. That's not what we're saying. We're just highlighting that if there is a way for women to start really getting into more of a coaching staff role, a DFO position seems to be right now the trend of how women are able to get in there. And the one line, and again, I don't want to give away everything in the story. It's a great story. Go read it on texasfootball.com. But the one line that I really like, that I feel like would make it relatable to literally any person that has ever had a job, was in the article. Carter wrote, in those moments when she confronted what her biggest fear was in taking the job, she refocused on her why. And I just think that's cool. It's something that is so relatable to so many people, and not even in jobs, just in normal day life. But I think it is exponentially highlighted in these roles where women are getting into a male-dominated industry.
Right.
And there is fear. I have gone through it. The two of you have gone through it. It's different. You know, I was the first woman ever hired at Dave Campbell's full-time on the editorial staff in a 60-year history. You think that's not a little bit nerve-wracking?
Right.
I like to act like it wasn't, but it was. And it still is, to be completely transparent.
Right. I mean, I can kind of relate to in the recruiting space when you're going to these camps and stuff. You don't see many women actually covering the prospects and stuff like that. So I completely understand where you're coming from and where Lexi's coming from. It's an intimidating, it's flattering. It really is, but it also can be intimidating at times.
And I think that reflecting on the why is such a key part to any of this. So I think that's what I took the most out of the article, other than Carter's excellent way of highlighting some people who are making very big impact on not only their specific community, not only their specific team, but just the industry as a whole. And I think that's really, really cool. But I think that anyone, it doesn't matter, male, female, what industry you work in, focusing on your reason why is just such a refreshing editorial part of this story.
Right.
That was like, oh yeah, man, you want to talk about a heartwarming, feel good, and a way for anybody who's been on that path, or anybody like some of these, like Lexi, who is starting her first year on this path, realize the difference that you're making.
Right.
Your why is the exact same thing that's going to pave the path for so many other women in this industry, for anybody. Focus on that why and center back there. And that's just such a cool life thing that you can take out of Carter's. I was just absolutely upset that he was on this show, and now I'm sitting here singing his praises. But his editorial, the eloquence that he has to tell the stories like that and to center it around life that everybody can relate to is just, it's really cool.
Well, and you take it back a little bit further than that, and we all have different jobs. There's a lot of women in recruiting, Texas high school football, coaches out there. And we all may have different jobs, but you take it back and you look at it and say, hey, we're all in this because we also love the game of football. And we can all kind of relate to
100%.
that, I mean, we all grew up around football. Dads were coaches, friends were coaches. Just take it back and you just got to realize we're all the same. We all love the game of football. And that's why we're all working.
That's what it boils down to.
And that's what it boils down to. Exactly.
So really, really cool. Please go read Carter's story on texasfootball.com. The rise of directors of football operations in Texas high school football.